Fred with Barefoot Adventures. We're at Keel and Curly Winery, and we're about to take a wine tour. So stay aboard. And we also met another awesome YouTuber here, and his name is
The Tourist Trap.
The Tourist Trap. He does all kinds of stuff for Central Florida, so check him out. He's got a YouTube channel called The Tourist Trap. So he was doing the wine stomp too, doing some filming. But we're about to do the wine tour. As you can see, we're the only ones here. We're waiting on everybody. So again, this is Fred, Barefoot Adventures. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Since then, we got into doing beer and cider in 2013, 14, in that range. The beer, we get the ingredients from all over the world, and then we add Florida fruits to them and vegetables. We actually make one with a jalapeno, a beer with jalapeno. And then we do the same thing with the cider. We get the fruit, the juice from New England, generally speaking, and then we add in different fruit flavors from Florida. So, and then the blueberries, we still have 17 acres of blueberries here. That's what's over there. Those are our blueberry bushes. We have the chickens, of course, and they eat, they basically live on all the food scraps from the restaurant. So out of the kitchen, whatever they have as food scraps, and then a busy day like today, we'll have 50, 60 pounds of food that people just didn't eat, and left it on the plate, whatever they left over. And that all goes to them tomorrow morning, and then we get eggs out of it. I'm a big chicken fan. I like them a lot. Yeah. They're easy to take care of too. You just make sure they have water, and we take the food to them, and that's it. Yeah, the farm goes out and around the corner. We do have 30 head of cattle too, mostly Angus and Wagyu cattle.
So where does Curly come in?
So Curly is my grandmother's maiden name. So it's the same family.
Okay, thank you. Oh, wow.
All right, so this is the production facility for the wine and the beer. We do about, I don't know if I said that, we do about 250,000 bottles a year of the wine. And then the cider is made here as well. By volume, it's about a tenth of the wine, how much cider we make. We started with these smaller tanks here behind us, started with just 6 or 8 of those. And that's kind of how the winery got its beginning. We still use them to this day. It's an efficient way, the blueberry wine especially, it's a lot of by hand stuff. The blueberries go in by hand, stir them by hand, take them back out by hand. So it's easier to do that in the smaller tanks, and they don't have to be they don't have to be chilled. These all have jackets that keep them cold. I don't think they're that can keep them cold. And without that, that's about as big as you can go fermenting. Otherwise, the heat builds up during fermentation too much that the yeast actually kills itself and stops making the wine. So I'll just run through real quick kind of how the blueberry wine's made. We make 2 different types. We make the 2 different types of wine, the blueberry wine and then the fruit fusion wine, which is a grape base with fruits added to it. So like the peach Chardonnay is Chardonnay grape with peach added on top after fermentation. But the blueberry wine is 100% blueberries. We use our blueberries, or we buy more of, like I was saying, the cull fruit or the second fruit that didn't make it the cut to get to the grocery store. We'll buy that to make wine with it. It does take a lot of berries to make a bottle, or like around 3 or 4 pounds of blueberries to make a bottle. So it can be pretty pricey if we're not able to get the blueberries at a nice price. Because it's so intensive in the actual fruit we have to have. We don't use flavorings or concentrates or anything like that. It's the actual fruit that we start with. The blueberries, the process for the blueberry wine is blueberries go into these guys. A little bit of enzymes and yeast and sugar goes in there. It kind of starts the fermentation process with the entire berry in there. Generally they're frozen first, which kind of helps start breaking the berry down a little bit. But those enzymes start breaking it down even further. So the blueberry wine is fermented on the skins. You might have heard that saying on another wine bottle somewhere someday. It's a marketing thing, I'm sure. But what it really does is pull the color out of the berry and some of the tannins and some of the flavors out of the skin of the fruit itself. So after a few days of that, when it's starting to break down, we'll take it out and put it in our press. So the press is actually up front for that stomp. They're taking all that fruit and pressing it after people stomp on it, so people can see it running early. But it's basically just a big pillow with a metal wire around the outside of it. The fruit goes in around the pillow, and then the pillow just expands with air, a couple thousand pounds of pressure, and pushes the berries up against the side, and the juice goes down. Then we put the juice back into that container and ferment it the rest of the way. So it's nutrients, more yeast, and the fermentation process is complete at about 10 to 14 days. Then we'll chill it down. It goes into these bigger tanks that can chill down. We'll chill it down at that point, and that's just to settle it. So some of the solids left over from the berries and everything settle out. And then we'll rack it from one tank to the next, just meaning that we'll take the wine off the top of the stuff at the bottom. The solids are now down at the bottom. So another tank, we'll do that a couple times to start clarifying it. And then we'll go through this blue guy here, which is a centrifuge, which kind of helps speed our process a little bit before we filter. That takes an additional amount of those solids out of the wine. Then we go through the filters. So we have coarse, and then they get more and more fine as you go, all the way down to 0.05 micron, which is a pretty much sterile product at that point. And then we have a really nice shelf-stable product. It's not going to go bad. It's not going to continue fermenting in the bottle or anything like that. On your kitchen counter, which isn't good. Or in the back of your car in Florida where it's 120 degrees.
Right.
That's probably where it would happen. So yeah, that's the process. And once it's finished out of those sterile filters, it goes over, and we'll go next door and see where it's bottled. We package everything over here, at least in bottles and cans. We do keg next door, either on that side or this side. Our beers and ciders are on draft around the state. But the canning machine, this is a Canadian machine, pretty standard that you would see at a craft brewery. It will do 50 to 75 cases an hour of cans, but basically they come in on the pallet, of course. This table just shakes and they come down here. They get rinsed initially right there, then they get a date thrown on the bottom of them, and forces it up onto this guy, and then just these guys seam it, and then you end up with a full can with a lid on it. Basically ready to rock. This just rinses at the last second there, label goes on, and then it goes in a case and it's on its way. So over here, this is the wine bottling machine. We've had this one a little bit longer. This is it's Italian built. It's one of the higher end, especially for a winery our size. This is a pretty nice machine for us, and it helped out a lot. When we first started, the first few years, it was it's 5 or 6 people bottling, and we could do maybe, let's say, 100 bottles an hour, 150 bottles an hour, something like that. This can do 1,300 bottles an hour with 2 people. And sometimes we even run it with 1 person, and it can still do like 600 or 700 bottles an hour with 1 person, which is pretty amazing. So the bottles go on right here, push them in, they go through. There's a nitrogen purge this time, not CO2, nitrogen. Then it goes on, there's like a little carousel here. The bottles all ride around the carousel, and as they're riding, they're filling up. There's a little straw kind of device that goes down into it to level it off right at 750 ml, so every bottle is the exact same level. Then the cork goes in right there, just forces it in with hydraulic, or I think it's air pressure actually. Comes around this way, the cap goes on, and then the cap gets pressed into place. Comes on over, and then gets the label here on the last spot. Comes out, and it's all done.
Wow.
All right, cool. We can go out this way right here. Just like to step on the hose here, but.
Now what is this one?
Yeah, this is a fermenter, but we use it to can from. So we'll put beer or cider in there and then we'll can from it. We use it as a carbonation thing, so it's the last step in the process.
Oh, right. So runny.
Was it any good?